Have faith. Let it begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Angel. And I want to thank everyone for joining us once again for another episode. Today, we want to start off by thanking GABBIE Santana for the use of her theme song, Tested. I want to get right started with today's topic because I think it's something that is extremely important. And it's regarding the workplace. To be very honest with you, I don't have a title. So by the time I put this up, I will have a title. So I don't want to sit here and lie to you and say that I had a title in mind. I'm just going to go with what is in my gut, and I will title it at the end. When you go to work each day, you go in with the notion that you've got certain things that you have to do. You have certain things that you want to accomplish. You have goals. Some of you have sales goals. Some of you have daily goals, whether it's tasks. Some of you have routine. Some of you have things that in the workforce that change day to day. But one thing that is for certain, that is always different: attitude. And maybe that could be the title. Attitude. Positive attitude in the workforce is very important. I believe that in most of my jobs that I've held, it's very hard to go into work when you have a positive outlook the way I do each and every day. I go into work because I love what I do. I have a rule that I've always set for myself. If I can't laugh, if I wake up in the morning and don't feel like going into work, then that's not the job for me. I've never felt that way about this particular job that I'm in now. In the previous jobs, obviously, it got to that point and I moved on. But in this particular job, I wake up excited. I wake up with the notion that I am going to change someone's life, that I'm going to save someone's life. But working in the environment that I do, sometimes it gets frustrating. It is very difficult to work with individuals who are very, very negative. Now, I'm not saying that it's this particular job. It's just that recent events in my personal new job that I have here, I have struck memories of the past, which led me into a topic for the show. So I figured let's explore that a little bit more. And attitude in the workforce is so important. Having a negative seed, or as they call it, a bad apple in the bunch, can cause such turmoil, can be a toxic thing, to the point where people just don't want to go to work, to the point where people just dread being there on certain days of the week. I recall being in Providence, Rhode Island, with a company that transferred me. And as you heard in the previous episodes, I had gone to Providence on a transfer, and I didn't know that the manager did not want me there and decided to use me as a pincushion, as a way of getting back at his so-called quote-unquote arch nemesis, who was my mentor. For 2 years, I struggled as the manager made sure I worked every holiday, made sure that I worked all the night positions, never granted me days off when I asked for it, always saying that we were short of staff. But I kept my positivity. I refused to allow him to bring me down to size. I refused to allow him to ridicule me and belittle me in front of staff. I always stuck up for myself professionally. I kept my composure, and I did not allow him to take down my positivity. Colleagues, on the other hand, were harder to deal with. Colleagues come in each and every day with a negative attitude, and they constantly complain and argue, set the tone, saying why they don't like the job or why they think life stinks. And me being who I am, trying my best to listen first and then give advice if I felt it was needed or if it was asked. But it almost felt as if when I was asked for advice and I gave it, it was not good enough. It was not accepted, because there's no way, in their words, a person can be that positive. There's no words, in their point of view, that life is that good or can be that good. Frustration and stress build and build to the point where you take it home. To the point when you go home at night, you bring that negativity, that anger, that stress to your home. Gratefully, I was single at the time, so I didn't have that to take home to anybody. But unfortunately, being alone makes you more frustrated to the point where you have nothing or no one to talk to. For me, I had an outlet. I had my minister, I had my parents, but sometimes you don't want to confide in them too much. You're afraid to give them too much information. It's important, though, folks, that you let out these frustrations. It's important that you find that outlet, that you find someone that you can trust and discuss and talk to someone regarding how you feel. I am not here standing as an advocate for therapy, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that people out there should use therapy, but I am not embarrassed to tell you that I was in therapy. And my therapy became my podcast, my show, airing out my frustrations and being who I want to be, and allowing me to allow God to channel my words through this microphone into your homes, into your life, allows me to be in a better place. I'm always in a good mood. I'm never frustrated. But there are days where I feel that my faith, my frustration, my workforce is tested. One story that comes to mind is, I'll never forget the day that I went to work. It was getting closer to the holidays, and the manager called for a meeting. He knew that I worked a late shift, almost like a double the night before, from my primary job and my overnight job that he knew that I needed to make my bills. He called me up at like 5 in the morning, which I didn't have to be at work technically until 12, but he called me up at 5 in the morning to wake me up, to tell me that I did a great job and that he wanted me to take the afternoon off and to come in around 2. At first I was upset because I woken up at 5 in the morning, but it was also a relief to know that I had extra time to sleep. So I felt like we had made a turn. Here I am, moving forward. I get dressed, get ready to go to work. I show up at the job, and he had thrown a Christmas party. He had thrown a pizza party, and he did not include me. He made it look like I purposely missed the meeting. And then when I walked in and realized that the party had just finished or was just ending, he proceeded to make it look as if I was late for the job. Very frustrating. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I didn't just walk into the bathroom and say, it's okay. No, I cried. As a grown man, I cried because it hurt. But I dusted myself off. I excused myself to the staff. I apologized for not being there on time. I bit my tongue and I moved forward. Eventually, there'll be a full episode on what happened with that outcome. So I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger with that. My point I'm making to all of you is, when you go out into the workforce, when you go on to your primary jobs or your part-time jobs, it is important to leave your problems at home. It is important to not allow people in the workforce to set the tone in a negative way so that you can create new stress in your life. Always try to have a positive attitude. Always try to allow yourself the ability to channel all negativity away from you. If you have the ability to work with somebody that you really don't need to associate with so that it won't affect your job, then distance yourself from them. Or always kill them with kindness. Eventually, they will break down. Eventually. Sorry, that was my Bluetooth kicking in. As you know, I drive to work and I record, so I don't edit. Everything is raw. Eventually, you will overcome those negative people. Bosses, colleagues, co-workers in different departments, management, regional managers, district managers, they all apply the same way. Don't allow anyone to give you a bad attitude, and don't allow yourself to change who you are. I wish you nothing but the very best, and I hope your day today is positive and filled with joy. For Have Faith, Let It Begin. My name is Angel. Have faith. Let it begin.